Our next guest, a former University of Minnesota quarterback, is the most recent NFL player to throw an interception and catch an interception in the same game. Is that a good record? I don't know. He went on to become a successful head coach with Tampa and Indianapolis. Many young coaches consider him an influence and a mentor. In his current profession, broadcasting, he has often cited me as his influencer, and maybe that I'm the greatest broadcaster of all time. You might say I'm the Tony Dungy of broadcasting or something like that. Please welcome our good friend, Hall of Famer, Tony Dungy.
After what you did to Brian.
What, our locker? No, I'm not going to.
Oh, not going to embarrass me?
There's not enough play, not enough footage of you playing to be able to find plays to embarrass you, Coach. Continental Tire Coach's Corner, the exclusive tire of the Dan Patrick Show. No matter where you drive or what you drive, Continental designs tires for what you do. For more information, visit continentaltire.com. Was there a moment when you played with the Steelers, when you're on the field and you go, this isn't for me? Like, I don't know if I want to do this as a career.
Yeah, my rookie year, I converted from quarterback, had never played defense before. I'm out there playing against all these guys and making mistake after mistake. And I made a big mistake in the red zone. Cleveland scores a touchdown. Bud Carson, our defensive coordinator, says, "You're trying to get me fired, aren't you?" He said, "But before I let Chuck fire me, I'm firing you." And I thought, this might not be a great profession. But the Coach Noel came over and said, he put his arm around me. What were you looking at? What were you thinking? Didn't we practice that?
Why is it coaches yell at players?
Because you get frustrated. Because you know it, and you think they should know it. And you're over there watching, and it's happening in slow motion, and they're out there, and it's happening 1,000 miles an hour. And after the fact, you know it. As I walked off the field, I said, I know what call I was supposed to make. I know what I was supposed to do. I couldn't do it.
But does yelling help?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't. And I learned that from Coach Knowles, so I didn't yell at guys most often because they understand they made a mistake. They don't need to know, hey, you made a mistake.
Yeah.
They just need how to fix it the next time.
I use that philosophy with my kids. If I give them the silent treatment after something bad's happened, that sinks in far more than if you say something to them. So I don't know if that happens. Yes, Paul.
Use it with other people than just your kids, Dan.
The silent treatment.
Okay, there are times when I've done that to the Danettes where I go silent. I go cold on them, and the message sent. And the one person who it affects the most, Todd Fritz.
I get very sensitive.
Oh, my God.
I almost rather you scream it. When you do the blow-off and like you're like a ghost or you're like not even visible, that's horrible.
Did you ever have a player like Fritzy?
Can't say that I have, no.
You can't make it to that level and be super sensitive and play in the National Football.
But
I had some sensitive guys. I did have some sensitive guys.
Could you yell at Peyton?
Not really. It wasn't an effective way to coach him. Marvin Harrison was the same way. I remember we were playing the Patriots, actually, and I said, Ty Law's looking forward to covering you, and he didn't talk to me for 2 days. And then he came in my office on Friday, and he said, I don't joke about the game. And I said, okay, I understand now. And then we understood. Yeah.
Now, why does he thought you were making something up, or you were having fun with this?
Fun and
like Ty Law is going to get you.
He really wants to play against you because he doesn't think you're very good. And I was just making a joke. And Marvin said, hey, I joke about a lot of things, but not about football.
You were a defensive coordinator. So if I said, be a defensive coordinator, you're the Rams, you're Wade Phillips. So what do you want to do on Sunday?
Rodney, and we've been on together for 9 years, and Rodney always says it. You have to get pressure up the middle against Tom, but you can't blitz to do it. If you have to blitz, like Brian said, he'll see it, he'll know where it's going, he'll get rid of the ball. So you have to get pressure, and you have to understand it's not going to come from Aaron Donald because Bill Belichick's thing is he's going to take the most important weapon away and make the other guys beat you. So if I'm Wade Phillips, I've gone to Ndamukong Suh and said, you know what, if we're going to win the Super Bowl, you have to be the MVP on Sunday, and you better be ready to play. You're going to get single blocked, and you got to cause havoc the whole time. Dante Fowler, you got to come off the edge, and you got to get there 1 or 2 times. We got to play man coverage, make him hold the ball a little bit, and you two guys have to win the game.
And that's my philosophy. It feels like that when the Patriots have lost a big game, the Giants in the Super Bowl had pressure up the middle. The Ravens could bring pressure up the middle.
And we said it on the pregame when we had the Giants. I said Justin Tuck will have a chance to be the MVP because they're going to make sure Michael Strahan doesn't beat them, and those inside rushers are going to have one-on-ones, and Justin Tuck was huge that day.
All right. What do the Patriots do against a young quarterback and a very talented running back?
They will mix things up, and they'll play something that they maybe haven't played all year. And Sean McVay and Jared Goff are going to have to say, okay, what is this? Okay, what do we have? What works against it? And make those adjustments. We had the same thing in the championship game in 2006 when we went to the Super Bowl. We got down 21-3. Okay, here's what they're doing. Here's the coverage. Now we adjust. We scored 32 in the second half. Last week, Kansas City scored 31 in the second half. Once they figured out, you don't know what it's going to be, and you got to be able to adjust quick. I think Sean McVay and Goff, it's how quickly can they figure it out and counteract.
When you look at quarterbacks, it's hard to say, okay, this quarterback's better than this quarterback because you played in an era, you coached against Joe Montana, Steve Young, Brett Favre, and you had Peyton, of course. But when it comes to Brady, are we going to hold losses against, like LeBron? We hold losses in the finals against him, as opposed to how many times Michael got there 6 times. What about all the times he didn't get there? Whereas Montana went there 4 times. What about all the other times? Here's Brady and LeBron going
there year after year after year. It's unbelievable. People don't realize how hard it is to do that. To get to the championship game, to win it, and get to the Super Bowl 9 times it's unheard of, unfathomable.
When did you realize that Brady was better than Peyton or would be viewed better than Peyton?
Well, the longevity and winning and getting there. But like you say, you really can't compare. People, they're mad at me in New England because of the way I rank things. But you said it, Joe Montana, Elway, those guys, we could hit them in the knees. We could hit them in the head. We could hit their receivers coming across the middle. And it was a different game. So how would those guys function now? I don't know.
Well, Marino would be the one.
Yeah, I don't think you could stop
it wouldn't
Dan
be fair.
With these rules. I agree.
If I take Peyton off the board and you can start your team with any quarterback all time, current rules.
Those mobile quarterbacks are so difficult, and that's the way I put it. John Elway, Aaron Rodgers, those guys who can, when you blitz them or when you can get pressure, you got a front 4 like the Rams, and you can't block them. John Elway could still make plays and run around and throw the ball back 60 yards across field. Those mobile guys, to me, that's a different element.
I think Elway's the greatest quarterback of all time. But I look at it differently because he didn't have all-pro offensive guys. I think he had Gary Zimmerman, a tackle, and that was it. But there were times when you needed a win, you knew he was going to win the game for you. Then he finally got some help with Shannon Sharp and Terrell Davis. Then he won a couple of Super Bowls. But those first 3, I didn't think that offense was very good.
And their defense wasn't.
No, and they were supposed to be built on defense, and they got overmatched. But we hold those losses, like the Buffalo Bills and the Minnesota Vikings. When you lose a Super Bowl, it's like you're bums. But you got to the Super Bowl. And we don't give credit to the Buffalo Bills. Right?
I agree. John Elway was so good. I'm defensive backfield coach in Kansas City with Marty Schottenheimer. We're up 4 points. It's 4th down and 10, and Marty goes for it. I said, "What are you doing, Coach?" He said, "I'm not punting the ball back to John Elway. You guys can't stop him." And I said, "Go for it. Let's get it."
Did you make it?
We did.
Oh, okay.
We did. Rob Thomas caught a ball, and we won the game, and we didn't have to defend that 2-minute drive, and we celebrated.
What do we do in the offseason? I know that we like to revamp whenever there's controversy. Let's start with overtime.
No, let me start before that with something you said. Let's start with full-time officials.
Yeah.
Get those guys working all the time. Get them in on Mondays, all 125 of them, to look at every play. This is how we're going to call it. This is how we're not going to call it. Make it full-time. And then in the playoffs, keep the officials together. If that was a crew, when that happened, 2 other guys would have run in there
They
and
would have asked for
you know
help,
what?
right?
Hey, I saw this. You got it. We missed it. This is the flag. But because, hey, I don't know this guy. He's supposed to be the best. Crews need to be together.
Yeah, egos get in the way a little bit. I
and
think.
Unfamiliarity.
Yeah. Okay, so overtime's okay?
I like overtime the way it is.
Okay.
I'm a defensive-minded coach. If we kick off, I need to be able to hold you to a field goal. If you're going to drive it down 14 plays and score, then we deserve to lose the game. On these rules, I would want to kick off. Stop the other team, maybe hold them to a field goal. At least we know what we need the second time around.
All right, as far as the play, the non-call, how do we ensure that doesn't happen?
It's going to happen.
Okay.
Get used to it. Get over it. I was a student at the University of Minnesota. Drew Pearson pushed off on Nate Wright in 1975. Okay, he pushed off and they scored. It happens. Okay.
I don't know if are you over it?
I am over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to make sure.
It happened. I was mad. I was 19 years old. I was mad for a year, but it's not going to change. The people in Oakland still tell me Frenchie Fuqua hit the ball and it shouldn't have happened, and the Immaculate Reception. 40 years. And we talk about it and it's fine. Bert Emanuel caught the ball. Okay. We didn't go to the Super Bowl. I'm like Drew Brees. We didn't go. Get over it.
How does the tuck rule get called? Like, how does that play get called? Do you think
it's because of this? It's an overreaction to something that happens. We try to fix it, and then you don't understand. There's unintended consequences from something.
But he wasn't tucking the ball. Charles Woodson hits Brady, and you go, "How's that not a fumble?"
Somebody fumbled the ball, and they should have called it this way, and should have called it an incomplete pass. So they try to make a black and white rule. This whole catch, no catch thing, Des Bryant and Zach Ertz going in. It started with Calvin Johnson. We saw it. Calvin Johnson catches the ball. He's celebrating. Goes down to pick himself up. And he had the ball for 10 minutes.
Oh, I know.
And they called it incomplete. And then to justify that, they had to come up with this rule that now we've got all these no catches for the next 10 years. And it's overreaction to a bad call, so we can't overreact to this one.
Here's our question. You can have Julian Edelman's career or Calvin Johnson's.
I'm probably taking Julian Edelman's because I want to go to Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Because at first you go, well, Calvin's one of the greatest athletes who's ever played that position. But the only highlight he has that we show is the touchdown that was overturned. So there's Edelman, you can't write the history of the NFL without Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
Because of those great catches. That catch against the Falcons in the Super Bowl, that hit he took against Cam Chancellor in the Seattle game, I would take Edelman. My bank account's not going to be as user-friendly, but I would take his career.
I'm going to give you a question then. Do you want to be Barry Sanders or Matthew Slater?
I'll take Barry Sanders.
Okay. Yeah. You don't care about the Super Bowl rings.
Okay, if I said Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders.
No. Just the guy who's went to 4 or 5 Super Bowls.
Here's one. Marcus Allen or Barry Sanders. Yeah. A little return volley there.
Yeah. You never let me get the last word in. I know that.
By the way, you didn't answer yet.
Marcus Allen.
Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl.
Yeah. Tony's got a new book. It's called The Soul of a Team, in which it's a team building and getting people to work together for a common goal. Fictional football team, and they're struggling, so Tony is hired as a consultant to get them on the right track. This isn't like the story of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is it?
Well, we're going to let you think about who it might be. So, like when I'm consulting and they offer us a wide receiver who doesn't want to play for his team, you can get, is that?
Oh, so it's the Steelers with Antonio Brown.
The Steelers and Antonio Brown. Could it be the Jets and Keyshawn Johnson? Could it be T.O.? We kind of leave that up in the air, but we just make the principle. That's why it has to be fictional.
Tony joins us, Continental Tire Coach's Corner. For more information on Continental Tire, no matter what you drive, where you drive, visit continentaltire.com. It's always great to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
All right, buddy. We'll take a break. Kyler Murray will join us.
I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah? What would you tell him to do?
Follow your heart.
Follow your heart?
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried to tell Charlie Ward to play football. think he did okay following his heart.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.